Okay, welcome back. And for part two here is 7.4, we're going to make three sub-assemblies. We're going to start off with sub-assembly one that consists of the T9 bed, axles, one block socket, tires, wheels, and connector piece. Okay, so when we're done, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so what we're going to want to do now is go ahead and go to New, Standard, Assembly File, Create, and we're going to go ahead and place those parts here. So it was the bed, the connector, one block socket, the axle. If you hold down control, you can click more than one option here. We want the tire and the wheel. And we're going to bring one more tire, one more wheel and axle in just a bit. So go ahead and hit open, okay, and just click, and then hit escape. Okay, it looks like we got most of our parts. Now we're going to need one more axle, one more wheel and tire here. So one more axle and one more wheel and tire. Hit open, and there we go. Okay, so first thing we want to do here is I'm going to kind of free rotate this to get it kind of level. And then I'm going to ground it so it doesn't go anywhere. So right click, grounded. Now this will keep this in place and it won't move, so we can kind of work around it. Alright, so let's go ahead and start putting our axles in our axle holes here. So I'm going to zoom in and let's go ahead and do a constrain. I'm going to look for this hole right here, this line, click there. Okay, to when that shows up, okay, go ahead and click it. Okay, hit apply. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel, and I'm gonna move this out a bit. Okay, and now the axle's kind of orientated backwards. So what we're gonna want to do now is if you zoom in, we want this face right here. And we want to constrain it to right here. Okay, hit apply, cancel, and there's one axle. Okay, now let's come over here, do the same thing. I'm going to move it out a bit, and I'm going to do that face to that face, apply and cancel. Okay. All right, so there's two axles done. Okay, so now let's bring in our wheels here. I'm going to zoom in, okay, and then I'm going to kind of free rotate this for a better orientation. Okay, hit escape, and I'm going to constrain. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use my insert constraint, and I'm going to select this option right here. Okay, the aligned option. So I'm going to just kind of, the axle highlight shows up in the arrow, the axle line here, and that edge of the axle right here shows up. Click on there, and then we're going to want, okay, this guy right here. All right, and now if you're like me, okay, you can kind of adjust this to make it, well, slightly where you want it. Okay, and then hit apply. Okay, and there we have our one wheel done. All right, and let's go do the other wheel. Go free rotate it once again to kind of line it up here. And then once again, let's come to our constraint, and let's click on our insert and aligned option and find that arrow with that outer edge highlighted or identified, the edge axis vector, I guess, as Autodesk calls it. and that edge. Okay, and I'm just going to once again make a 0.01 here, offset, apply. You don't necessarily have to, but sometimes you may. It may require you to do this. Okay, so there's the two wheels on. Now let's do our tires. Okay, so let's bring the tires over here, kind of closer. I'm going to zoom in. Once again, just do a free rotate really quick to kind of line them up. And now I'm going to come to my constraint again, and I'm going to try the insert option again. Okay, and this time I'm going to kind of once again select my aligned option, and I'm going to try to see if I can get that with that. And nope, didn't work the way I wanted it to. So go ahead and hit cancel. Let's try it again. And let's see if there's some other edges we can use. So let's try that one here with that one. There we go. Go ahead and hit apply. And it looks like it's on there pretty good. Hit cancel. Now let's check. Notice our tire is moving, but our wheel isn't. So, and I showed you a couple of you guys this earlier. You can also constrain, all right, using planes. So let's come over here to T9 tire. All right, and check the origin plus sign, and let's come over here to the tire, or excuse me, the wheel. Click the plus sign and the plus sign for the origin. Now we're going to go ahead and constrain here. Again, we're going to do a make constraint. Okay. Now we want to find the plane that we want. It looks like the XYZ, the XZ plane here to the tire XZ plane. And there we go. Hit apply, cancel. Now we got everything moving the way we want it to. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the other tire on. And a lot of the times, when you're learning this stuff, it's just trial and error. Learn from your mistakes. That's the way I learned. And I still make mistakes, as you can see, and I just try to think of something else, another way around it. Okay? And in the process, I get better at Autodesk. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go ahead and back up to our constraint. And let's do another insert and align function. And we're going to come to that edge with that edge again. And hit apply, cancel. Okay, looks good. I'm going to go ahead and minimize my other wheels. And I'm going to click on the plus sign for the tire, and I'm going to click on the plus sign here for the wheel, and also the plus sign for the origin. And once again, let's constrain, all right, some planes. So I believe it was the XZ plane to the other XZ plane. There we go. Hit apply. We're good. Okay, we're almost there. It's starting to look more and more assembled here. All right, so now let's go ahead and bring in that socket piece. I always like to rotate it so I can kind of just click on faces and go. Okay, so hit escape. Let's constrain it to do a good old make constraint from one face to another face. Hit apply. I'm going to zoom in here. We're going to do another one. We're going to go here to here. All right, and one more. I'm going to zoom in there. I'm going to turn around to this face. Hit apply. Now, if you look at it, okay, it's slightly, well, it's not perfectly centered. And you can fix that by coming in to these different mates and kind of editing them and using the offset. So I don't want that mate. I want my mate 8 here. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to move it out so slightly. Let's try 0.03. I'm going to go a little more. Looks pretty good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit edit here. Do the same thing on this mate. Okay, now it looks really nicely centered. Okay, at least the way I kind of want it. Now the only thing I would say is let's move this out so this face is kind of flush with that face. Okay, and so I'm going to edit, and once again let's try 0.05. And that's good. Okay, you could have also, when you were constraining it, did a flush constraint to this face to this face. Okay, all right, so we just need to put that connector piece in now. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab our connector piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and constrain. Now there's different ways you can constrain this. You can use multitude of faces, but I'm going to go for this inner one right here, and I'm going to constrain it right there. Okay, looks good. And now to save yourself a headache, okay, I suggest doing what we did with um, over here and using some of the planes. So I'm going to go to constrain again, and I'm going to go with, now notice you have your origin down here so you can see your different planes. Same thing with the connector piece. So we have a vertical axis here, the YZ plane. I'm going to constrain that plane to that vertical axis. There we go. Then I'm going to do one more. Well, let me show you something, because notice I can still move it up and down. So we have to constrain it one more time. So now let's go with our horizontal XZ plane here and XZ plane here, and then hit apply, cancel. Okay, there we have it. Our Automoblox subassembly 1. And now one thing I'm kind of annoys me is this constraint. I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to offset it just a little bit here, and I'm going to go the other way, a minus 0.08, and that might be too much. It looks pretty flush there, and I could have used a flush constraint now that I think about it again. All right, so let's see here. Okay, and then just hit OK. Okay. All right, there you go. Thanks for watching.